Hey. Hey y'all, it's Ayanna. Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all my socials at _ringbells on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Well, TikTok for a little while, y'all. I don't even know what's about to happen in a month with the TikTok ban. But yeah, I know y'all miss me and I miss y'all too. But I'm gonna give y'all a quick life update because y'all deserve one, obviously. So y'all, I quit my toxic job a few weeks ago, got a new job, better everything. And I had to get acclimated to the job and the routine of it. I got to be there 2 hours early now. So it's just been an adjustment on top of me taking like final exams and stuff for school. So I just had a lot going on, but I am back. I finally got a routine that works for me. So I'll be back with giving y'all videos, earlier, but I decided not to give y'all a girl was tea yet. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all, the ones that have been continuing to send me your emails with your crazy story times. And trust me, I'm going through them. But I decided just because y'all waited so long for another video that I'm just going to give y'all a story time. And y'all, there's a lot of moving parts to this story. And I know y'all like the more detailed, longer ones. And it'll probably end up being a part 1 and a part 2. So we'll see. But enough babbling. Without further ado, as you can tell by the title, this is a story time about one of the reasons why I don't believe in mixing friend groups anymore, y'all. Yeah, let's jump right in. All right, y'all. So you already know, gotta give y'all the background, gotta set the scene right. All right, y'all. So of course, story takes place a few years ago. Don't they all? Now, I was probably like 18, 19. And I had just finished like my freshman year of college, and I was coming home and I needed a little job. So I ended up getting this job at this thrift store, like 20 minutes or so from my house. Now, at the time, y'all, I honestly think I was making like $8 and some change at that job. And I was just thinking about that because I was talking about it with somebody that I work with about like what our first jobs were and how much we were making back then. It's insane. Comment down below and tell me what your first job was, whether you were a waitress, a hostess, you worked at an amusement park, McDonald's. Let me know what your first job was and what you were getting paid back then, because whew, times have changed. But yeah, so I got this job, and y'all, everybody in there was pretty much my age, between like the ages of 17 and like 30. Even the managers no more than like 40. So everybody was pretty young. So I ended up meeting this girl named Bubbles. We'll name her Bubbles. So ended up meeting Bubbles, and she was cool. She was like maybe 20, 21 or so. And we hit it off. We had like, certain things in common. We would just, talk, laugh at work. And then one particular day we were closing together. And I don't even remember what time the store used to close, maybe like 8, 9 o'clock at night or something. So we were closing, and y'all know how like if you ever worked in like a Walmart or a grocery store, at the end of the night, you kind of gotta, make the store look nice and neat for the next morning and stuff. So I'm in the front, y'all. We was both working registers, and ain't nobody really in there now. We just cleaning up so that way when the store closes, we can get our stuff and go home. So, I'm fixing the shelves, putting the jewelry around, fixing the bags and stuff. And Bubbles was supposed to be helping me. I look up, and she was nowhere to be found. I'm like, okay, 10 minutes don't went by, 20 minutes don't went by, and we supposed to be leaving. That was like our last hour or so. So I'm like, okay, where is Bubbles at? So I couldn't just leave the front, obviously, because the store was still open. So she eventually comes back, but y'all, Bubbles was real light skinned, so you could see everything on her face. She was so red, looked like she had just got done crying. So I'm like, girl, what's wrong with you? And she had got into it with her boyfriend. We'll name her boyfriend, I don't know if I ever picked the name, Brett. We'll name him Brett. And the reason we're going to name him Brett is because obviously Bubbles was a Powerpuff Girl, and I think Brett was one of the boys' names of the Rowdy Rough Boys. If you know, you know. So we'll just name him Brett. So she was like, yeah, Brett and we got into it. And y'all, Brett used to take her through the ringer. But at the time, I did not know this. So I was like, dang, girl, like, what he do? She was like, I don't even want to talk about it. It is what it is. So I ended up just asking her. I'm like, Bubbles, you smoke trees? And she was like, yeah, girl, you smoke trees? And I was like, yeah. So she was like, you know what? We should get together one of these days after work. Tonight I just want to go home. And then I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's last minute anyway. So now that we both have that thing in common, fast forward like maybe 2 weeks later, we at work, we closing again. So she was like, girl, where you live at? So remember I told y'all, I think I named the town Rosewood. I was like, yeah, girl, I live in Rosewood. And she was like, I live in Springfield. We'll just name it Springfield. So she was like, yeah, I live in Springfield. And is that a bad name for it? I'm going to change the name because the name that I had just said, I just realized is too similar to, yeah. So I lived in Rosewood and she lived in like Lakeville. We'll just call it Lakeville. So she was like, yeah, girl, I live in Lakeville, which was like maybe 10 minutes away from where we worked at. And I lived like maybe 15, 20 minutes away in another direction. But our towns that we lived in were still right next to each other, but we lived on like the either side of each town. So between us, it had to be like a cool 25-minute drive for real. So she was like, oh yeah, you know, if you want, like, you come to my house, you know, we could smoke and then I could drop you off. And at the time, y'all, I didn't have a car because freshmen, we couldn't have cars in college, obviously. So my parents was like, it was no reason. So I was like, okay, cool. So we get off work or whatever. So I walk out with her to her car and we pull up to her house. So she was like, you know, you got any trees on you? I was like, nah, like if you got somebody, like I'll just cop from them. So she was like, oh yeah, you know, my boyfriend Brett, he be having it sometimes. You know, do you want to smoke with him? And I was like, you know, I'm not going to say like no, but it's like, dang girl, it's our first time linking. Why you want your boyfriend around already? So I ain't say nothing. So she was just like, oh, I'm going to see if he got it. And I was like, you know, I ain't care because I'm like, well, shoot, if he got it, then we try and do this, then I don't really care. If you don't have nobody else, then obviously I don't have time to go home, find nobody and all of that. So it is what it is. So she hits Brett up and he was like, yeah, you know, I got it, you know, just pull up. So we pull up to her house. Mind y'all, like where Bubbles lived, she lived like, say, right here, and Brett lived like 6 houses down at the house on the corner, like literally. So he pulls up, like we in the car, we sitting there, we talking, I'm in the front seat, and then he pulls up, I see him, somebody coming down the street. She's like, oh, here he go right now. So Brett's pulling up, y'all, he riding his bike. Now, at the time, Brett, like I said, if Bubbles was like 21, he was a little bit older than her, honestly. So I want to say he might have been like maybe 22, 23 at the time. Yeah, y'all. But he riding a bike, he pull up, you know, he leaves his bike on a little sidewalk, and he gets in the back seat. So he's like, you know, how you doing? And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm good. How are you? He was like, I'm good. So she introducing us, Brett. This is Ayanna. This is my boyfriend, Brett. I'm like, okay, you know, cool. Nice to meet you. So he's like, yeah, you know, what did you need? So I was like, oh, you could just give me an eighth. So, you know, we do our little transaction, and, you know, we rolling up in the car. And y'all, back then, I used to have a habit of like, I ain't trying to give too much away, but what I roll now, like back in the day, like my used to be a lot thinner. You get what I'm saying? Like they used to be a little bit skimpier, but not like too skimp. But I think it was just more so because of the wraps that I used. So when I was rolling, you know, I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm just in the front. She wasn't rolling though. Like Bubbles was in the driver's seat. She wasn't rolling. She was just on her phone. So, about to say that boy name. Brett was in the back. So he was like, okay, yeah, we can match or whatever. So I'm like, okay. Again, not thinking nothing of it. So mine just roll. I spark mine, boom, smoke and pass it to Bubbles, and I be in a rotation. And now when mine started getting like, you know, y'all, maybe like right here, Brett sparked his. So he sparked his and he passed his to Bubbles first. If you know the etiquette and the rules of smoking, then you know I ain't really going to explain too much of it. So he passes it to Bubbles. Bubbles passes it to me. Y'all, that L. And L, y'all, means what I'm talking about, but I don't want to use the real word. So that L was literally like, perfect example, because I was just cleaning out my purse. My bad. So, y'all, Bubbles passes me the one Brett roll. It looks like this. This is one of my makeup brushes. It is as thin as this, right? The one that we were smoking of mine was like this. Y'all know I gotta give y'all the visuals. This is what it was. So mine was pretty much like down to like this point now. Still this thick though. She passes me this. So I'm like, okay, not thinking nothing of it.
What am I supposed to do with this? Like, ooh, done, face ass.
But we smoke and I'm thinking that he was about to spark another one. So I'm like, oh, we done? So then she was like, yeah, girl, you know, we good. She was, I'm about to drop you off, you know. And I'm just like, okay. So Brett gets out the car, he rides his bike, says bye to her, and he goes back home. We in the car, we just laughing, we talking. Like I said, this is my first time really linking with Bubbles, so I wasn't really trying to press the issue, but time flag on the play, time out. When you smoke and it's 3 people and you talking about matching, and okay, your boyfriend pull up with the trees, girl, it's 3 of us. And then he had the audacity to roll one to account for the both of y'all, and it was skinnier than my one, and it's just me. Tell me if I'm wrong, y'all. And of course, I wasn't really trying to pocket watch, you know, no L, but it's like dang, if I knew that, I would have matched you with I would have rolled this too. So we're good there though. So I'm like, all right, well, it is what it is. So, she drops me off at home. And then, like, from that point on, me and Bubbles pretty much had developed a friendship. Like, we would go to lunch together. We was hanging out on weekends. We was going to cookouts together. Like, and it was summertime. So we was real cool. So fast forward maybe like 2 months or so later now, right? Bubbles done did my hair before. But like I said, we done went to the mall. We went to parties. I done met like her family, her mom. We are in tune with each other's lifestyle on FaceTime, on the phone, developing a real friendship. So this day, she's like, oh, my friend, what would we name her? We'll name her Ruby. She was like, oh, my best friend Ruby that I've known since middle school, I haven't seen her in a little bit. So she want to, know if I wanted to smoke trees too. So if you want to come, like, what's up? So I was like, yeah, cool. So that day, we go to work and we was going to link up with Ruby afterwards. So pull up. And I'm saying we pull up. We leave work and we pull up on Ruby. And whole time, Ruby, y'all, lived a 4-minute drive from my house. Like, we both lived in Rosewood. And it was like literally 4 minutes away from each other. So she also lived about 20-25 minutes away from Bubbles. So she pulled up on her and I'm like, oh, this is right around the corner. She was like, yeah, I meant to tell you, like, she lives so close to you. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Ruby comes out, she gets in the back seat. Same thing like it was with Brett. Like, oh, hey, how are you? Da-da-da. And she, like, Ruby was like a little Spanish girl. Like, my height, like 4'11". Like, that was my girl. So she was like, okay, nice to meet you. We vibing and stuff. Nothing too crazy. We pull all the way back up to, and don't ask me, y'all, why Bubbles used to do the drive back and forth. She didn't care. So we drive all the way back to her side of town. Same situation, but this time I had my own trees and so did Ruby. So Bubbles did not have nothing. But I was like, you know what? It's cool because she done drove us and stuff. So we ain't mind, sparking her up or whatever. So, we roll up and I'm looking to see, we in the car. Like, I'm tilted in the seat. Like, we both turned toward the back so we can interact with Ruby. So I'm like watching Ruby, but not like eyeing her, but like watching her, in conversation to see, how much trees she putting in her L. So I'm looking and she rolled pretty much similar to me. So I'm like, all right, cool, that's fine. So boom, we roll up, we smoke, we vibe and we talking. Ruby starts getting into the conversation about her boyfriend at the time and, talking about like how he be doing this, he be doing this, that, and the third. At the time, y'all, I don't even think I was dating anybody. I was outside, like I said, I had just finished my freshman year. I had took the fall semester off and then I was going back in the spring. So I was outside. Like, I had my little booze that I had dealt with from high school plus who I didn't listen. I wasn't on that. But they both had boyfriends. But I was never the type of friend that would try to recruit them or recruit any of my friends to try to be on the same type of timing as me if I was single and vice versa. So they would be, talking about their boyfriends and stuff. So she'd be like, yeah, girl, he blocked me. He really be getting on my nerves with that. Like, I don't be understanding, like, what his problem is, da-da-da. So, Bubbles was like, yeah, girl, like, I understand. Like, it's crazy, blah, 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 blah. But, y'all be okay. Y'all be fine. And they having a little, conversation back and forth. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm getting to know, Ruby. So, y'all, we finished smoking. We laughed. We talked. Boom. She drops us all the way back off at home. She dropped Ruby off, drove around the corner, dropped me off. She goes home. So now, fast forward again, now we're all developing our own friendship circle. Now we all cool. We all got a group chat together. We hanging out. And then I'm trying to think what happened. Like, how this ball really got rolling. So, and I'm sorry, y'all. I got my window open. I don't know why I do because my back is a little cold, but if I don't have it open, this light will start making me hot. So listen, sorry if I feel like it looks like I'm fidgety, but yeah, so, we develop our own little friendship group and about to say that girl name, Ruby hits me up one day and she was like, oh girl, you want to smoke some trees? And it was like literally like 8 o'clock at night. Like, nobody was feeling like going all the way over to Bubbles. So she was like, I'll pick you up. And side note, Ruby also was a little bit older than me. She was the same age, obviously, as Bubbles because they went to middle school together and stuff. So one day she hit me up and she was like, oh, girl, you want to smoke? Because she knew I lived right around the corner. So I was like, yeah, sure. So she pulls up on me. I lived in like an apartment complex. But remember in the story I told y'all when we got pulled over? I think it was one of the last times when Wanda, we had dropped her off and we got pulled over by the cops. Me, Letty, and Dom, and we got pulled over and I told y'all they had pulled up to my apartments and we walked around the path, that same path. So she was like, where we could smoke at? I was like, yeah. So she pulls up on me. She parks, we roll up, and then we start walking the path. You know, we just talking, just getting to know each other and stuff. So she was just like, yeah, girl, you know, me and Bubbles, we've been friends for a long time. Like, I know her family, you know, and it was never, you know, no bad blood. You know, we were just cool. She was like, yeah, you know, sometimes it's a little much to be, you know, riding all the way down there, having, you know, putting that pressure on her for her to come get us and stuff. And she was like, sometimes I just be wanting somebody to smoke with without having to, you know, do too much. Like, she literally had on like sweatpants and a t-shirt. Like I said, y'all, it was like probably like fall around this time. So we literally just had on sweatpants, a hoodie, you know, some slides, and was just walking around. And then she would just go back home and she didn't have to drive 20-30 minutes to do so. You get what I'm saying? So fast forward, y'all, like literally like 2-3 days later, Bubbles hits the group chat, and I don't know if I didn't work that day or what. Like, I don't even remember. But she was like, oh, what'd she say? She was like, oh, y'all didn't tell me that y'all linked or whatever. And I'm like, what you mean? And she was like, oh, because Ruby told me that, y'all linked and smoked. And I was like, oh, it's a problem. And she was like, oh, girl, no, it's not no problem. But you know how sometimes, y'all, people will say something and it really do bother them, but they don't really want to say that it bothers them. It was like one of those. Like, she was just like, trying to play it off like, oh, y'all ain't say that y'all smoke together. Like, dang, girl, it's a problem. Oh, no, it's no problem. That's how she was acting. So I was like, oh, girl, I didn't think it was nothing. I was like, you know, Ruby just hit me up. She wanted to smoke. So I said, yeah. Like, she was like, oh, I didn't know y'all was trying to develop your own friendship. I was like, if you jealous. And she was like, girl, I'm not jealous. Like, I want y'all to be cool. Like, I don't have no problem with that. I don't have no problem with that. Right. So fast forward, like I said, y'all, you know, we cool, we vibing. Everything is cool, clean, copacetic, right? So boom. Fast forward. Now it's like, it was still like pretty much sort of kind of like fall. Yeah, because it didn't start getting cool until a little bit later on. So still kind of like fall. And this particular day, me and Bubbles were working, and school had already started back. You know, obviously I told y'all I didn't go back to school for the fall semester. So I'm still working at the thrift store. So she's like, yeah, you want to smoke after work or whatever? You know, I already hit up Ruby, and she said she wanted to, like, she was down. So I was like, okay, cool. So she was like, all right, do y'all got any, you know, on y'all, whatever? I was like, yeah, you know, I got some on me. And she was like, I'm gonna tell Ruby to, you know, cop. I'm probably just gonna get mine from Brett, but we won't smoke with him. So I'm like, okay, cool. So y'all, we work our shift or whatever, you know, we get off work, we leave, and this time Ruby was going to meet us at Bubbles' house. So we get to her house, Ruby pulls up, we get in a, you know, Ruby parks, she gets in the car with us. So we chilling. Next thing you know, she was like, oh, Brett's not answering. So we like, well, you know, if he don't answer, you know, we got you. So she was like, no, like, why he not answering the phone? Y'all, it is nothing more embarrassing. And tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if y'all agree. It is so embarrassing when you call your man and he don't answer the phone.
This is really embarrassing.
I hate that. I could be dying. I could want to tell you my stomach hurt. I don't care what it is. Why you not answering the phone? And then I'm calling you in front of other people and you not answering the phone? Like, it's something about it. Maybe it's just me. Like I said, retired, crash out. So, she calling him, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, rolling up my little L. And she steady calling him. The person you have reached has been, hang up, call him again. Hang up, call him again. She got him on speaker. He finally calls her back. He's like, what do you want? Why do you keep calling me? And she was like, who are you talking to, Brett? Who are you talking to? And he was like, what's wrong? Like, what's up? I'm busy. I'm doing something. She was like, I'm your girlfriend. If I'm calling you, why are you making it seem like I'm bothering you? Like, it's a big deal. He was like, what's up? Like, what do you need? Like, what do you need? So she was like, I just needed some trees or whatever. He was like, I'm not giving you no trees unless I'm smoking. Like, you matching? Like, you know, who you got with you? And she was like, oh, I'm in the car with Ayanna and Ruby. He was like, where you at? She was like, I'm parked in front of my house. He was like, all right, cool. I'll be there in like 10 minutes. So then he hangs up on her. Didn't you just say that we weren't smoking with Brett? So Ruby, that being her best friend, because like I said, they've known each other since middle school. I obviously just like don't really know Ruby like that yet. And me and Bubbles, we co-workers. You know, we friends, but we co-workers. They've known each other a lot longer. So I was at that point, you know, where I wasn't super vocal and like really trying to chime in on certain conversations. I literally had met Brett maybe twice at that point, and this would have been time number 3. Obviously, they've been together at that point for like 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. So Ruby already knew him. So she was like, why is he talking to you like that? And I was like, right. And she was like, girl, you know, he just be busy sometimes. And, you know, I'll be aggravated too if somebody was blowing my phone up. I will blow your phone up until it blows up, okay? Please. So she was like, no, I don't like how he talks to you like that. And she was like, Ayanna already told you, like, we got you. You don't really need to smoke with him. Like, we want to have girl time. Like, we want to talk. She was like, y'all, it's going to be fine. Like, it's cool. Like, don't even worry about it. So I'm like, okay. So 10 minutes like clockwork, y'all. He pull up on his little bite. He get there, throw it on the side. Boom, he gets in the back with Ruby. So he was like, Yana, you care if I, you know, we switch? So I was like, yeah, it's fine. So I get out the front seat and he gets in the front seat with Bubbles. I get in the back with Ruby. So we chilling in the car, you know, we all got our stuff. We rolling up. Now, y'all, rolling up again, average. This is what, you know, Ruby pretty much rolls, similar to what I roll. So we in the back, we got both of ours, you know, set on the side on a little door rest or whatever. And we cool. You know, me and her wasn't really having our own little one-on-one conversation. I don't know. We all was kind of collectively talking. Boom, Ruby sparks hers. You know, Brett's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. So Ruby sparks hers. And she's smoking. She passes it to Bubbles. So she passed it to Bubbles and then it's going around. So boom, after it hit Ruby again, I sparked mine. So spark mine, now we got 2 in rotation. There's 4 of us, you know, we got 2 in rotation. So pretty much Ruby's ended up being done. Again, you know, mine's was probably like right here. And then Brett sparks one. And passes it to Bubbles that way. And, you know, it gets to Ruby. Y'all, when Bubbles passed it back to Ruby, I kid y'all not, Ruby was like, and y'all, it was so funny because when she did this, I already was looking at her because I knew it looked like this. I knew it looked skimp. So she was like, I was looking at her like this, trying not to laugh, and I dropped my head, and I could just feel her look over at me, and she just sparked it, and I'm looking over, but I'm trying not to laugh, and she's smoking it. She passes it to me, smoke, give it up there, but she's giving me eye contact. I'm giving her the eye. We giving each other the eye. I'm like, okay. So we finished smoking, we laughing, we talking. Now, y'all, tell me again if I'm crazy. There's 4 of us now. Y'all tried that one little 1L for the both of y'all between the 3 of us. But now it's 4 of us. And it's only 3 L's. Like, it should be 4. You get what I'm saying? And you rolling this little skimp L between the both of y'all. Like, I don't know, y'all. Like I said, that's not good smoking etiquette. So, you know, we smoke or whatever, and that was that. And same thing like clockwork. She was like, oh, Ruby was like, oh, girl, Bubbles, I'll take Ayanna home. She was like, you know, we live so close to each other. You don't got to drive all the way back. She was like, oh, you know, that's good. Thank you. You know, I'll see y'all later. You know, da-da-da. So she had ended up going down the street with Brett, and she was just going to spend the night over there or chill over there, I guess. I don't know. So me and Ruby, we get in the car, listen to music. We talking. Back then, we used to really love A Boogie. I think, what was that song? Ransom. Don't even give me a line. Y'all don't even remember how that song go. But that was really one of our favorite songs together. So we listening to that, and she was like, you know, driving. So we on the drive back. And then next thing you know, Ruby just turns the radio down. And she looks at me. She was like, I want to say something, but like, and you know, y'all know when somebody say, I want to say something, but you know it's going to be something. And I knew exactly what she was talking about. So again, I'm not the type of person that's going to bring anything up first because that's not my friend. Like, not like that. It's not that Bubbles is not my friend, but y'all best friends. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be trying to talk about her behind her back and then you running back and telling her. I ain't even on that. Like, if her boyfriend want to roll skimp L's, you know, she like it, I love it. It's cool. So Ruby's like, I'm like, what's up? She was like, why do Brett be rolling those little skimp L's? Like, and why Bubbles, like, she was like, I'm not even trying. She's like, I love her. She said, but why she be letting him roll them little skimp L's and thinking like that's cool, but you always want to smoke, but why you never got no trees of your own? You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, girl, and I go into telling her the story that I just told y'all about the first time I linked with her to go to her house and smoke. She put up with him and he did the same thing. And she was like, I'm about to really start rolling skimp L's too, because I don't feel as though why am I wasting my trees and you wasting your trees, and he putting little pebbles in his and you barely even, like, come on, like, who? Y'all. So we start bonding over that. laughing, we talking. So she was like, you want to smoke again? I'm like, yes. So we pull up to my complex. Boom, we sit in the car. We vibing. We smoke. We chilling. Then after that, me and Ruby started getting real close. Like, we started hanging out on our own. Like, I was going to her house. She was right, like I said, right around the corner. So she was coming to my house. She knew my parents. You know, I know her sisters, her parents. And they would have cookouts. They had a pool. So I would be over there. And like I said, we started developing our own friendship, right? So now we back into the next summer. Now we like a year later. Like I said, so back and forth, we all just pretty much been friends, hanging out. Everything been cool. You know, we did start cutting back on how we were smoking with them. And Bubbles wasn't really saying nothing. Like, she would just like, you know, she was just cool with whatever. Like, you roll this, you roll that. She ain't care no more. So cool. Or so I thought she didn't care anymore. I'll say that. Or didn't care, period. So like I said, now it's a year later. It's the summertime again. And we want to go to the beach. So was I still working at that job, y'all? I don't even think I was working it no more. I think I had got me a new job. I don't know where I was working at, though. Maybe Hobby Lobby. I don't know. I think I was either working at Hobby Lobby or DSW. I had so many little rinky-dink podunk jobs back then. So she, like I said, came home. It was summertime. I was working and stuff again. And this particular weekend or whatever, she was like, oh, you want to go to the beach? So I was like, yeah. So she hits up Ruby. We all in the group chat. So Ruby's like, yeah, I'm down. So she was like, oh, I'm going to invite Brett so he could, you know, help me drive and stuff like that. And we like, girl, we can help you drive. She was like, no, I don't really trust, you know, everybody to drive my car, but I trust him to drive, you know, my car. Boy didn't even have a license. You trust somebody that don't got their license? But okay, you like it, I love it. So she was like, yeah, you know, he's gonna go with us, he's gonna drive, so, you know, da. So I'm like, okay, cool, bet. Now we were gonna leave to go to the beach at like probably like 11 in the morning. I don't even remember what beach we was going to, but we was gonna leave at like 11 in the morning. Me and Ruby was gonna come pick me up. We was gonna drive over to Bubbles, and then we was all gonna carpool in Bubbles' car to go to the beach. So that was the plan. So the night before, you know, me and Ruby, we talking. She was like, you know, what you wearing, what you packing, da. And I'm like, okay. Bubbles had already went and got the liquor, and I think at that point, y'all, I had to be like, was I not 21 yet? I was not 21 yet still. So yeah, Bubbles had got the liquor and stuff, and you know, obviously we all had our own trees and stuff, and we was just gonna smoke on the beach. So next morning, boom, we get together and we ride over there. So, you know, Ruby's like, girl, I really hope they not on that little skimpy stuff. She said, you never really been out with them. And at the time, like I said, I've been out with Bubbles. Bubbles wasn't cheap, but I don't want my TV to mess up. My TV is on, but I don't want it to like start talking. But yeah, so she wasn't cheap, but I feel like when she got around Brett, she just kind of adapted to like his frugal, cheapskate ways. Like, I don't know. So Ruby was like warning me of that. So I'm like, girl, I was like, I don't care. I got my own money. Like, she was like, I'm just saying you can have your own money, but it's frustrating when, you know, other people is not picking up, you know, their side of things. So I'm like, yeah, I feel that. So y'all, we get over there. And me and Ruby already had like 2 L's rolled for the ride, for real, right? Wake and bake. So we pull up, and you know, Bubbles comes downstairs, and we all get in the car. So she was, I'm gonna ride down the street to pick up Brett. So I'm like, okay, cool. So ride down the street. Brett was gonna drive to the beach. So, you know, he gets in the car, we all saying, you know, what's up? He was like, oh, y'all, you know, I got mad trees on me. You know, we gonna be good today. We gonna be fried today. So we like, okay, cool. You know, it's lit. And I know you're probably like, damn, like, why she always gotta have her boyfriend with her? I don't know. And I don't know why we never really said nothing, because it was like, it didn't really bother us. Like, I don't know. Brett wasn't like a bad person. He was funny. They wasn't really on like too much PDA. They didn't really make you feel like, me personally, y'all, it was like they didn't have time to be on PDA because Brett was always snapping on her. Like, honestly. So we drive in. He was like, yeah, we're going to be lit today. We like, all right, cool. So we start smoking, and the ride was probably like an hour 10, hour 15 to get to the beach that we was going to. So, you know, we on the highway, we smoking, we vibing, we listen to music, y'all. We get to the beach. Had a good time at the beach. You know, we on the beach, we in the sand, you know, taking pictures, you know, the whole nine. We drinking, we sipping, everything. Brett ends up going to go get himself some food, but he asked us if we all wanted anything, and me and Ruby was like, nah, we good. So Bubbles was like, yeah, whatever you get me. So he was like, okay, cool. He leaves, he goes to the boardwalk, I guess, and he comes back with pizza. He came back with 1 slice of pizza. And he was like, here, we could split this. And she was like, why wouldn't you just get me my own slice of pizza? Why would you get yourself a slice? And he was like, I didn't get myself a slice. Like, I'm going to eat the top part. Y'all, listen to this. Y'all know a pizza. is that like a pizza? He wanted to cut the pizza, not cut it in half this way. He wanted to cut it in half. What is that? Horizontally, so that she had like the bottom triangle of the pizza and he had this part plus the crust of the pizza. I don't know about y'all, the crust is the best part. How you just giving her the bread and the little part at the bottom? You could have just bought that girl, like, I don't even know y'all how much pizza was back then, but what, $1.50? And you know you on a boardwalk, so a slice of pizza, 2 slices of pizza, and a soda probably was like $5. So again, Ruby said, watch out for the cheapskate ways. So they start snapping, going back and forth about the pizza. So Ruby was like, oh, Ayanna, you want to rob, not rob me, but she was like, you want to walk with me to get some food? So I was like, yeah, I'm down. So Ruby was like, oh, Bubbles, I'll just get you a slice of pizza. And she was like, thank you, somebody cares about me. He was like, you know what, cool, get her own slice of pizza, you not having mine. Snatches the little part that he ripped for her, snatches it back out of her hand, and proceeded to eat. So we got up, left him on the beach, and we start walking. And then I was like, you never, like, ever said nothing to her about, how he be talking to her, how he be treating her? So she was like, no, like, I don't really be saying nothing. She was like, I said something to her, like, once upon a time ago, and she bit my head off about it. So she's like, I don't say nothing no more. Like, if that's the type of relationship she want, cool. So I was like, all right, bet. So that means I don't have to say anything. So we go to the, we find a little pizza spot. We get her a slice of pizza. We get the same thing for us. We walk back to the beach. Boom, y'all. We all eating. We having a good time. Like I said, we sipping. It was cool. Fast forward to, like, it was the afternoon now, because like I said, we left at like 11. We probably got down there around 12. We honestly was leaving probably by like 4. It was still light outside. So now we in the car, we're in the car on the road coming home. Next thing you know, Bubbles is driving now. She's driving back. Boom, she gets a flat tire. Whoop, 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 whoop. However, the flat tire sound is, y'all. So she gets a flat tire. She pulls over to the side. So she was like, come on, Brett. Like, you got to get out and change the tire. So he was like, man, like, you about to do all of this? He was like, come on. Like, I'm going to show y'all how to do it. You showing who how to do what? I'm not getting out of the car. We are literally on the side of like a 4-lane highway. Like, literally on the side with a flat tire. No. And y'all, obviously, Bubbles didn't have AAA or nothing because I got AAA. I'm not changing nothing. I'll just sit in the car for the next 40 minutes until y'all can get to me. But I'm not getting out on the highway. You talking about something, I'm going to show y'all how to do it. He was like, y'all all need to learn just in case you're in a situation. That's fair, but I would rather learn in an empty parking lot or my driveway, not on the side of the highway. Yeah, thanks. So he gets out and Bubbles gets out with him and he's like trying to change the tire. Now the flat was on, I believe, on the passenger back side. So he has it, like, he's taking the tire out and stuff, and now he's trying to, change it. He starts complaining about his back hurting and stuff. So Bubbles is literally down, mind you, y'all, bikini top, bikini bottoms, booty shorts, because we just came from the beach, and got her outside doing, y'all, I don't even know how to change the tire, but I'm assuming you got to do the lug nuts or whatever they call it. Is that, don't give me the line, but however that little, it was the tire iron thing where you gotta like whatever, twist it, whatever. And he has her doing that while he's leaning on a car like this, to the point where some guys, I guess, that was coming, like, leaving the beach too. Yeah, they was leaving the beach too. They like, do y'all need some help? Do y'all need some help? Like, dang, bro, why you got your girl doing all the work? Like, that's crazy. You got all of them ladies in there. And he was like, mind your business. Mind your business. Start snapping at them. It was like a car. It was like 4 or 5 of them in there. So he was like, mind your business. Mind your business. Like, we good. Like, she just was helping me out for a little bit. It was like, she shouldn't be helping you out at all. Like, literally going back and forth with him in traffic. It was okay embarrassing. But me and Ruby, we was just in the car. Like, I was like, I'm not moving. So we've had the windows down, obviously, to make sure Bubbles was cool, but like, it's no point of all of us being outside the, I wasn't doing that. So the tire ends up getting fixed or whatever temporarily. We get back in the car. They are arguing because at this point, Bubbles is like dirty. Like, she had like the black smudge marks. Like, I was just like, and he was like, well, I need help. Like, not everything, is always about, trying to be prim and proper all the time. Like, this is your car at the end of the day. But you're the man. So if I'm in a car with my boyfriend and I'm driving and I get a flat tire and I pull over to the side of the road, I'm supposed to change the tire because it's my car? make that make sense. So they going back and forth, like going at it. And he was like, you know what? If you got a problem, like, I'll drive. She's like, you're not gonna drive my car because you're angry. He was like, you're angry. So I was like, so at this point, I was like, y'all both need to calm down because y'all not about to crash this car while I'm in here. So everything was fine, I guess, at that point. Like, it was just like an awkward silence at that. So we finally get back to the house. You know, me and Ruby, we get in the car. We tell Bubbles we gonna catch her later. So she was like, okay, bet, cool. And we in the car, we making our way back. So she was like, what even was that? I'm like, I don't even know. Like, it is what it is. Boom, y'all. That was that whole day, right? Yeah, like maybe like 2-3 months later, right? I'm talking to Ruby, and she had got into it with her boyfriend again. So at this point, me and her, it was one of the nights we was smoking, but at this point, we was smoking in like these apartments that was like in between where we both lived. So we just pulled up into those apartments and we was just smoking. And so she was just telling me about how like her boyfriend be blocking her. So I told her, my girl, you could do better. Like, you don't want no man that's gonna be blocking you and talking to you when he feel like it, you know, stuff like that. So I'm just giving her advice, and I'm like, you know, you two live for that. You know, I try to tell my friends, like, even though might not always take my own advice, but you know, we do not deserve for a man to be blocking us when he feel like it's super sassy, trying to punish us, trying to teach us a lesson. Like, I don't go for none of that, and I never have. So I'm speaking those words into her. She was like, yeah, you know, but at the same time, y'all know y'all friends is going to do what you want to do. My friends have given me advice, and I'm still going to do what I want to do. So that's all I could do was give her advice. She was like, yeah, you know, you're right. So we have our little heart to heart, and, you know, that was that. So a few weeks later, you know, at this point, I'm linking with Bubbles by myself. And, you know, same thing. We smoking, we going to get food, just chilling, having a regular night. And she was like, oh, like, Ruby be getting on my nerves about her boyfriend. So I'm like, what do you mean by that? So I'm like, what you mean? And she was like, because she always be complaining, like, girl, like, you could do so much better. Like, I don't even think he's all of that anyway. So, y'all, mind you, I could have decided to say nothing, but I did not decide to say nothing. So I was like, girl, how you coming for Ruby? Like, you don't be letting Brett talk to you crazy. And she was like, oh, girl. She was like, my bad. I didn't mean to come for your best friend, Ruby. And I'm like, it's not about you coming for my best friend, Ruby. You coming for your best friend, Ruby. She was like, exactly. She's my best friend, so I can say what I want. I'm like, yeah, but have you said that to her? I was like, because the last time we was all together, you be telling her, like, oh, girl, you know, I support whatever decision you want to make, you know, da-da-da. She said, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to just be, like, trying to tear her relationship down. I was like, that's not tearing her relationship down. That's being honest. She was like, well, I don't look at it that way. She was like, because when she tried to tell me about Brett, you know, I wasn't going for it. So she was like, I'm just talking, I'm just venting to you. And I was just like, girl, you don't got to vent to me. Because again, y'all, like I said, I was never trying to get into that he said, who said, she said this behind your back when y'all was not about to have my name in it like that. Even though it eventually ended up happening anyway. So I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm not, like, I get what you're saying, but nah. So I think Bubbles kind of got the hint, like, yeah, we cool, but like, I'm cool with Ruby too. You get what I'm saying? And y'all both kind of, I don't want to say similar situations, like, because Ruby's boyfriend didn't really used to snap on her. He would just do little wicked things, like just annoying little things. But Brett was full blown cursing you out, like putting more work on you. Yeah, I don't know. So I wasn't really trying to compare your relationships, but if you trying to compare your relationships, you don't have no room to talk based on how your own boyfriend treats you. You don't have no room to be talking about Ruby and her relationship when you're not even being a real enough friend to tell her what it is. You get what I'm saying? So yeah. So fast forward, you know, I never went back and told Ruby any of that because I was like, you know, it's not a big deal. I don't need to do that. So fast forward, y'all, right? It's like maybe a month or so because now y'all know we're going to start getting into why I really don't mix friend groups. So it's like maybe a month or so later, right? And me and Ruby, we hit the group chat. So we like, hey, Bubbles, you know, what you doing? You know, we wanted to link. She ignores the group chat. Like, she just ignores us. So we like, okay. So a few hours goes by. She never responded back. So me and Ruby ended up linking. We smoked, you know, regular day. Nothing else happened. And then the next day, Bubbles still never responded to the group chat. So now we like calling her. So she was like, oh, my bad. She didn't answer the call, but like she finally responds back in the chat. She's like, oh, my bad, y'all. I was out with, what we gonna name this girl? We'll name her Lynn. So she was like, I was out with Lynn. And I didn't know who Lynn was. So she was like, yeah, I was smoking with Lynn. And, you know, me and her kind of rekindled our friendship, da-da-da. So Ruby ends up texting me separately ends up texting me separately. She was like, yo, Bubbles is mad weird. Yo, Bubbles is mad weird. So I'm like, what happened? I'm like, who's Lynn? Like, fill me in. And she was like, Lynn is a girl that we also used to go to middle school with. She was like, her and Bubbles was never cool like that. She was like, I always looked at Lynn as like a kiss ass. Like, she was always like a suck up. She was like I had gotten into a fight, not me, but Ruby's telling me that she got into a fight with some girl in middle school, right? Beat the girl up. And before she beat the girl up, Lynn was one of the people like, oh, Ruby gonna get beat up. Ruby gonna get beat up. But then when Ruby beat the girl up, now Lynn is like, oh, girl, I didn't know you could fight like that. Like, oh, girl, you got the hands. Like, whatever she was saying to her, whatever terminology we used to use back then. Like, oh, girl, you got hands, blah, blah, blah. Basically, yeah, just on Ruby's now because, yeah. So she was just like, at that point, Ruby was just like, I didn't like her because, girl, you was definitely rooting against me. And then now that I beat the girl up, now you on my team. She never really liked Lynn. She was like, Lynn was just always fake. Like, she was like, it's something about her that I never liked. So I was like, well, I understand. Like, you know, it is what it is. You know, maybe Bubbles feels as though, you know, me and you getting close, so she want her own friend. And the whole time, Lynn lived like 5 minutes away from her. So now she had her own little friend on that side of town and vice versa. So she was like, I don't know, like, she was like, I don't see myself linking her or whatever. She was like, there's no beef. It's just like, we adults now, you know, it's no problems, but I will always remember, you know, what happened back in middle school. So I'm like, yeah, I understand. Like, I don't blame you. So fast forward, you know, like I said, they started developing, Bubbles and Lynn started developing their own little friendship and stuff. They on Instagram taking pictures, they on Snapchat hanging out, you know, all of this. And I didn't care because me and Ruby was doing the same thing. And on top of that, y'all, even though I'm telling y'all all of this specifically about them, y'all remember, I still have my own friend groups. Letty is still around. These other girls I was friends with that I didn't even give y'all story times about yet, like Star. I still have like different friend groups. So they were just a small part of that. They just live closest to me outside of Letty. So fast forward, y'all, right? Listen, it was a day that it was cold outside. I don't remember if it was wintertime. Like I said, at this point, I was friends with Bubbles. All of this took place over a matter of like maybe two to 3-ish years. So I remember it was like real cold outside. And she was like, do y'all want to smoke? Asking me and Ruby. So we like, yeah, cool, girl. Like, what's up? So she was like, okay. We pull up, picks me up. We pull up, and she used to have a park that was right in front of her house that we would go sit on the bleachers and stuff and smoke. Don't ask me why we were smoking out on the bleachers and it was cold like that. And back in the day, it was like uncool to wear a coat. So we was out there in hoodies, you know, tied all tight, you know, snuggled up. She was like, oh, meet me on the bleachers. I'm gonna come over there. So we're like, okay, cool. So me and Ruby go to the bleachers. We had rolled up in the car, and now we sitting there about to smoke. Y'all, next thing you know, we see Bubbles walking up, and she has Lynn with her. Did not say she was coming up with Lynn. She just said, do y'all want to smoke? She pulls up with Lynn. Now, mind you, over the whole course of this time of her hanging out with Lynn, Ruby has never spoken up and said to Bubbles that she's weird. They had just like a weird dynamic in friendship. And like I said, I, again, was never really trying to put my 2 cents into too much because, yeah, y'all the ones that's friends at the end of the day. So she walks up with Lynn. Again, I don't know Lynn. So she's like, oh, hey, you know, hi. So I was like, hey. So she was like, you know, Lynn, this is Ayanna. You already know Ruby. And Ruby was like, what's up? Like, what's up? So she was like, oh, hey, Ruby, you know, long time no see, girl. Like, completely acting like oblivious. So she's like, hey, girl, you know, long time no see. You know, how you been? Ruby's like, I've been good. You? And like, just real playing it off. So, you know, y'all, we on the bleachers and stuff, we smoking, you know, we talking, but the conversation was like awkward. It was like Lynn would say something and Ruby would just be like, oh, really? Interesting. Or like, you know, just real short. Like, and Lynn was trying not to let it bother her to the point where she was like, dang, Ruby, you like on me. Like, did I do something to you? Did I do something to you? She was like, no, you ain't do nothing. She was like, why? Do you think you did something? She was like, no, that's why I'm worried. Like, I'm wondering why you know, you coming at me like that. She was like, I'm not coming at you like nothing. So Bubbles was trying to keep the peace. So she's like, okay, y'all, like, okay, like, we good. It's no beef or whatever. That was mad long ago. So I was like, you know, again, I'm not involved in this. I thought at the time Lynn was cool. Like, she didn't really rub me the wrong way. She didn't really have no ill vibes. And even though Ruby telling me what she's telling me, it's like, girl, you basing that, you know, assumption off of when y'all was in middle school. We literally in our 20s basically now. So I ain't really see what the big deal was. And I don't even think me and what's her face? Me and Bubbles wasn't even cool no more by the time I turned 21. So I honestly want to say maybe by the end of me turning 21, because I don't remember her being at my party, but I don't remember. So yeah, they like I said, they was developing they friendship off of that, and that whole interaction, like I said, was just awkward. We leave, and me and Ruby on our way back, Bubbles his group chat, and she was like, "Oh, Ruby, you got a problem with Lynn?" And she was like, "I don't have a problem with her. Why are you asking me? Do I have a problem with her?" She was like, "I'm just asking because the vibe was a little off." And she was like, "Well, my bad. If I'm making your best friend feel uncomfortable." She was like, "How am I making?" She was like, "How are you calling that girl my best friend?" She was like, "When you basically hang out with Ayanna all the time." Whole time it's like, "I'm in the group chat, y'all. Like, y'all can take this outside of the group chat." So I honestly responded, and I was like, "Y'all do not have to have this conversation in here." And Ruby's like, "It's not even a bad conversation." She was like, "Ayanna is your friend that you introduced me to. We live closer to each other, so we be hanging out. What is the issue?" Bubbles never responded back, y'all. Never responded back. So at this point, it was like a little time had passed before like I had actually linked Bubbles or like smoke with her again. And it wasn't because of me falling back. It was because she kind of distanced herself, and we wasn't working at the same place no more. I don't even think she was working at the thrift store no more. She was like doing hair, I think, like full time out of a shop. And like I said, I think I was working whatever my little podunk job I was working at the time. So I hadn't really seen her like that. And her and Ruby was having like, little issues. So they wasn't really seeing each other like that. But me and Ruby, we was seeing each other like multiple times a week because it was so easy to like get off work, pull up, smoke, chill, link, whatever. Go get food, go to little outlooks and stuff. And yeah. So what happened? What happened? So yeah, so after all of that, like I said, some time had went by. We wasn't really linking Bubbles like that anymore. So I want to say maybe like only a couple of weeks. And then Bubbles hits us up, and she was like, "Do y'all want to smoke with Lynn?" So Ruby, by my surprise, was just like, "Yeah, like we could smoke. Like I'm cool. Like we could match." So she was like, "All right, cool. Like y'all could pull up, and then we'll pull up on we'll pull up to." Scratch that. I said that girl's name. We're gonna pull up to Lynn's house, and we'll smoke in like her backyard. So we was like, okay, cool. So same little rigmarole, y'all. We pull up to Lynn's house, and it's mad dark. So we're calling Bubbles, and we like, "Hello, like where she live at?" Like you gave us the address, but like we talking about the backyard. It's mad dark. The girl had like a gate. You had to go through the gate to get to the back. Like, you're supposed to be coming to get us. Clearly, you be over here smoking with her. Come get us. She was not answering the phone, not answering the phone, not answering the phone, not answering the phone. So me, and it was cold, y'all. It was so cold. So me and Ruby, we ended up getting back in her car, and we just kept smoking. Like, we rolled up again smoking. Bubbles had not hit us. So we was like, you know what? If we finish this L and she still don't hit us, we just want to leave. So I'm like, I'm fine with that. So next thing you know, Bubbles said something. She's like, "Where's y'all at?" She was like, "Girl, we was hitting you up. Like, where are you at?" She was like, "I told y'all to just come to the backyard." We're like, "It's mad dark. You could have came and got us." She was like, "Oh, y'all getting on my nerves. Y'all acting like it's such a big deal. Why did you call us over here?" And my thing that used to get on my nerves about Bubbles, it was like almost as if she was trying to give off a certain image or like portray a certain role in front of Lynn. You get what I'm saying? Like, because like I honestly do think she was just jealous of my and Ruby's friendship, which I didn't have any understanding as to why. But yeah. So she was like, "Where y'all at?" We like, "We in the car, we smoking." She's like, "Why would y'all smoke? Why would y'all smoke?" And we like, "Girl, relax. We still got more trees." And she's like, "That's not the point. That's not the point." But she's on Ruby's phone yelling. I'm like, she ain't talking to me. Like, I don't know, you ain't talking to me. So we like, "Okay, girl, we about to come." So she was like, "Okay." Y'all, we came like 10 minutes later after we smoked our L, because at this point, ain't no point in getting out to get in the car, and it's already pretty much, again, down to here at this point. So we finished smoking. We get out, and she had left the gate open. So we go through the gate, and it was a car that Lynn, I don't even think, drove. Like, it was just one of her cars that she had in her backyard, and it was like a two-door. So they both, I think Bubbles just got out of the passenger seat, moved the seat, and then me and Ruby climbed in the back. So Ruby had a blanket in her car, so she brings the blanket. We back there. We had already rolled up before we had gotten in the car, right? So now we in a car, but y'all, of course, it's an awkward tension. It's an awkward silence or whatever. So Lynn tries to break the silence, and she's like, "Oh, do y'all want to see the new guy I'm talking to?" So me, just to, like I said, make a awkward situation less awkward and tense, I'm like, "Yeah, girl, go ahead." So she pulls out her phone, and y'all gonna have to wait until part 2. I know, y'all, but the story gets so much juicier, so much better. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me for this long. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, repost. Like I said, I'm back. I'm better. I'm gonna be more consistent for y'all. Tell me what y'all think. You know, give me y'all think pieces before we get into part 2. But thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Peace.
Hi.